Good morning. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020. And in reading today, we are going to talk about the seasons around the world. I know that we've been talking about seasons in science for the past couple weeks, but today and this week, our focus is going to be about what we know about seasons and what they're like all around the world. So let's go ahead and read our job together. I will know what the seasons are like around the world. So seasons here, seasons there. What season is it in different parts of the world? When it's summer here, is it summer everywhere else? Those are the things that we're going to learn about. And the question in our mind this week as we're talking about this is, what are seasons like around the world? So what I would like for you to do first to start off is we're going to fill out this chart together. This KWL chart, that stands for know, what I already know. The W, what I want to know, so a question. And then L would be learned, and this last box we'll talk about later. The first one, I want you to just open up your notebook, take a pencil, write down, what do you already know? This is before we even watch a video or before we even talk about in the lesson. What is it, something that you know about the seasons around the world? So you would just simply start with I. And again, you're not going to fill a chart out like this. All you're going to do is you're going to write it on a piece of paper, just a piece of notebook paper. You're going to start your sentence with, I know that. And then, what do you know? I know that. What do you know about seasons around the world? What do I know? I know that in some parts of the world, it gets really cold, or actually it gets really cold and snowy during the winter. Do we get really cold and really snowy in Texas? Not so much, but I know that in some parts of the world it gets really, really cold and lots of snow, like blizzards. So that's one thing that I know about seasons around the world in winter. Now, what question? So once you get what you already know, then I want you to think about what's a question that you have about the seasons around the world. So just underneath what you already know, I want you to write a question for me. Let's see, what question do I have about seasons around the world? Do other parts of the world get a lot of rain during the spring like we do? So that's a question that I have. Do other parts of the world get a lot of rain during the spring like we do? Okay, now once you've done that, then we're good. You can pause the video if you want to write these down before you move on to listen to the rest of this video. So those are our two things. What you already know about seasons around the world, and one question that you have about seasons around the world. All right, let's go back to this screen here. So we know that we have 4 seasons. We're in spring, then we have summer, fall, and winter are 4 seasons. And each of those seasons lasts 3 months, okay? And so 3 months times those 4 seasons, that's 12 months, which is a year. And that's how long it takes our Earth to revolve around the sun like this. This is the picture here with the sun in the middle. And it's only one Earth, but this picture is just demonstrating how Earth revolves around the sun. And as it's revolving around the sun, we are changing seasons every 3 months. And as it circles around the sun, different parts of the Earth are closer to the sun than others, and that affects how much light different parts of the earth are getting and how hot the heat that it receives. So if we look over here at this diagram here of the world, this shows you that in the middle of our earth we have this line which is called the equator, and on the top part of the equator from here up, that's called the northern hemisphere, and then from here down, this is called the southern hemisphere. So let's talk a little bit about that. We know that the earth is tilted on its axis as it's revolving around the sun. If you look at this black line here, that represents the equator. And if as it's moving around, now I said this is the equator, right? The top part is the northern hemisphere, just like here, and then this top part is the southern hemisphere. And let's just talk a little bit more about that. You notice what continents are in the northern hemisphere: North America, Europe, Asia, part of Africa, and then the other part of Africa is in the southern hemisphere. We see that part, or the majority of South America, is in the southern hemisphere, Australia and Antarctica. So keeping that in mind, when the earth is rotating on its axis tilted this way, you'll notice that this part here, this is the southern hemisphere, is facing the sun. So guess what? It's going to be hotter here, and it's going to be more light here. And do you see how the top part, which is the northern hemisphere, is not facing the sun? But watch, as it's rotating, here's the southern hemisphere. When it gets over here to this side, what do you notice? What part is facing the sun? Now the northern hemisphere is facing the sun, so it's going to be hotter here, and it's not going to be as hot here. We're going to talk more about that, but what I want you to do now is I'm going to ask you to go back to your Google Classroom assignment, and in the assignment you have a link to get over to your Discovery Education, and it's going to take you, when you click on it, it's going to take you to this video. Now, if it does not take you to this video, parents, you can log in to your My Apps page, which you already actually are. Just go back to the My Apps page, click on the Discovery Education app right here. It'll take you right in, and when you get in, at the top you'll have assignments or assigned. If you click in there, you should see this day, night, and the changing seasons video. It's a short 3-minute video. If you'll just go in there and click on it. So you'll go into the apps page and click here if the link doesn't work. Okay, that's how you can get to it as well. After you have watched the video, guys, what I'm going to want you to do is you're going to come back to your piece of paper where you wrote what you already know about the season around the world and where you wrote your question. Now I want you to write one thing that you learned, and you're just going to start that with I learned. Again, you're not drawing a chart like this. You're just writing your responses on a piece of paper. Okay, I know, your question, and then I learned. When you have those 3 responses down, send me a picture of those responses and I will add it to this chart. So if you want to see your responses here, send them to me and I will add them to it. We'll talk about them on our next lesson, and then we'll go from there. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know. Remember, our question for the week: what are seasons like around the world? I hope you enjoy learning about that this week, and I will be talking to you soon. Goodbye.